Well, now we want to talk about disruption, because there is prospective disruption when Joe Biden comes to town, and we'll talk about Dublin Airport in a moment with Eoghan Corry, editor of Air and Travel magazine. All of that. Good morning, Eoghan.
Good morning, Pat. Yeah, road closures, perimeter roads around the airport will be closed. It does. The activity's already started. A lot of things in place. Advice from the airport, the plane spotters spot everybody familiar with. All of those things shut down, but operations continue as normal. Fairly busy week. Most of the activity, the coming and going, will not be close to the terminal, so the terminal will not be affected.
But okay, what about parking? People who want to park their car either to pick up someone or, depositing their car for a few days when they take a break?
That's already a problem, Pat. We're short spaces. Quick Park and Santry never got back into business and won't be back in business for summer. Dublin Airport want to operate that car park. They're going to turn it to 6,000 extra spaces, which are badly needed. Competition Authority still sitting on that.
Okay. Now, what about that Ryanair emergency landing? What happened?
It's a bit more than a burst tyre. Some people saying it's a burst tyre. Nose gear collapsed. The passengers were very discomforted. They were about over an hour sitting on the aircraft, but they were bussed in. The safety operation from the airport point of view seems to have worked very, very well. I think everybody fairly happy with the outcome. And Ryanair say they described it as a minor setback. But the 4 flights were diverted from that airport because the runway was closed. Very, very lucky we have that parallel runway which only opened last year, and that meant operations could get back to normal. The 4 flights then made it to Dublin.
Now, Ryanair has, it's famous for the fact that it has probably the newest fleet of any airline operating in Europe or indeed possibly in the world. They change their aircraft all the time. So have they given any explanation why a relatively new Boeing should have a problem with its nose landing gear?
There'll be a few investigations into that, and we generally don't get explanations until well into that investigative process. The big criticism of Ryanair was information. Passengers on board told that they weren't really informed, kept up to date as what was happening. But in terms of what the passenger experience is, safety is paramount, and Ryanair and Dublin Airport both performed to a high level on that.
Yeah, well, what about you'd expect when passengers are on a plane that lands in this fashion, nose down, I suppose, metal on tarmac, that they'd be down the slides as quick as anything, but they weren't. They were kept sitting in their seats, probably glad to be so, but, you'd always be wondering, wouldn't you, when a plane has had a dodgy landing?
There's a time for slides. There's a time for just sitting on the aircraft and evacuating passengers in an orderly manner. The captain makes that decision, and he does it with all the information that he has.
Okay, and finally and briefly, operations at Dublin Airport at one of the busiest times of the year, the Easter holiday. Did it go well?
Yeah, April's a big test. April's a big test because it's the systems have to be got up and running. They had 720 security and staff. They'll have about 825 up for the summer. Security queues a little bit longer in Terminal 2, crept up towards 30 minutes at one stage, but 90% of passengers were through in 15 minutes or less. So the security nightmare of the end of March and the end of May last year did not recur. They're also going. There were 103,000 yesterday. That compares with the maximum of 106,000 in one day last summer. It's an indication of what's happening post-pandemic, Pat. Passengers are booking later and later into the cycle. Makes it very, very hard for airlines and airports to plan when people are booking 10 days or 14 days before they travel.
Eoghan, thank you very much for joining us. Eoghan Corry, editor of Air and Travel magazine.